And just ahead here on the Eyewitness News Update, Governor Perpich proposes a new budget that calls for your income tax and property tax to go down.
Fire forces more than 40 St. Paul residents out of their homes and into the cold this morning.
The wrecking ball goes to work on the old Metropolitan Stadium, paving the way for a $500 million development.
And tonight we start our special assignment series on daycare centers and how they're becoming substitute parents. In fact, those stories and more are next on the update.
You know, you've all heard that Lasso delivers a better yield. Well, we're confident enough in Lasso to put our money where our mouth is. If you're using dual herbicide now, compare it to Lasso in your own side-by-side fields. See for yourself. Lasso delivers extra yield, or we pay the difference in cash. Ask your dealer or call this number toll-free for details about the yield guarantee. Only from Lasso, the Yield Protector.
Break free and feel how splendid you are with Vanderbilt, the rich romantic fragrance by Gloria Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, let it release the splendor of you. Vanderbilt.
Tonight, we will print and deliver roughly 375,000 copies of a bigger, better Star and Tribune. Tonight, a whole day of hard work hits the street. Tomorrow morning, when you open your copy, you'll have a view of your world that's bigger. And tomorrow morning, when we open ours, we'll be looking for ways to keep getting better.
Now, from Minnesota's leading news station, Cindy Rucato, Stan Turner, Dennis Felkin, and Bob Bruce. This is the Eyewitness News Update.
Good evening, everyone. The big number tonight is 12%. That's how much Governor Perpich wants to increase state spending and decrease income taxes.
Well, those were two of the most significant proposals the governor made today as he outlined his budget for the upcoming biennium, two-year period. We have two reports on what it will mean to you from government specialist Lindsay Strand and money specialist Greg Stone.
The governor's budget totals $11.4 billion. Nearly half of the money in his budget would be spent on education, and that is also where the big spending increases are proposed. Perpich is recommending a 19% increase in education spending over the next 2 years. The spending increases in all other areas would be only 7%, less than the expected rate of inflation. As his staff briefed reporters, they pointed out this budget proposes the lowest rate of growth of any budget in the last 20 years. They described it as lean but not mean. In a break with tradition, the governor had nothing to say about his budget message today. In fact, Perpich spent the day here at the mansion, resting. He returned from a trip to Europe late last night. Senate DFL leader Roger Moe suggested the governor did not want to be present to deliver the bad news about any budget cuts. He believes the governor's plan does not put enough money into property tax relief, and Moe is cool to other proposals.
When you got a budget message that recommends the same amount for the zoo and for the Arts High School as for the rural crisis, I think that that is, to me, demonstrates an absolute lack of understanding of what the problem is in the rural areas of the state.
In baseball parlance, I'd say he's gone 0 for 3. He's spending too much money, he's setting too much aside in reserve, and he's not providing nearly enough in the way of tax relief.
The Perpich staff says that kind of criticism means the budget is a good compromise, one that makes both sides uncomfortable. They believe that means it is a budget that should eventually win approval. Lindsay Strand, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
This is Greg Stone. The governor's new budget is pushing for jobs rather than welfare. In effect, his proposed program would be a take-it-or-leave-it proposition for many employable people on public assistance. Either they would have to accept jobs or training that were provided for them, or their benefits would be terminated. No work or no training, and no check. This is based on a feeling that those on public assistance who are employable would rather be working.
Every survey that we've taken shows that in Minnesota, where the work ethic is so strong, people want to work. And if you can provide them with a good working opportunity or a good education and training opportunity, 99% of people would much rather do that than simply stay at home and receive a welfare check from the government.
This concept drew a favorable response from some of those who receive help from the government.
Yeah, I think it's more of a solution to the problem, you know, getting people out there working instead of keeping them without work.
So would you feel you'd feel better about yourself, you think?
If I was working, yes.
In what way?
Just about any way. Work is work, even shoveling snow or something like that.
The governor's program would also make it easier for people to find work. It sets up a grant plan to pay part of a person's wages for up to 6 months as an incentive for companies to hire people. And it allocates some funds for daycare to help ease entry into the job market. All told, the recommendations carry a $105 million price tag. The jobs program will be critical in the next 2 years, since the governor predicts that 20,000 people will turn to public assistance. And he wants to put as many of those people as possible back to work. Greg Stone, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
In Washington, President Reagan got an earful on the budget deficit today. Reagan plans to shrink the deficit to $140 million in 1988. That'll take deep budget cuts next year, but congressional leaders told Reagan today the budget-cutting act should cut deeper in defense spending. This morning, Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger said deeper defense cuts would not help the deficit.
Well, you don't make a major impact on the deficit by cutting defense spending, because when you do, you lose all the taxes that are generated by the people who are employed in defense industries, and you incur some unemployment costs because a lot of them don't have jobs.
This afternoon, the Democratic floor leader in the House called Weinberger's argument preposterous.
Defense spending doesn't contribute to the deficits. Well, manifestly, that's wrong. It's a preposterous statement to make. A dollar spent on a bomb contributes just exactly as much to the deficit as though the dollar were spent on a school book.
The Democrats in Congress say that without deeper defense cuts, Reagan's budget plan will die in Congress. Cindy?
The 3 Americans kidnapped in Lebanon almost a year ago are apparently alive and well, according to a videotape released by the kidnappers. In the 56-second tape, Foreign Service Officer William Buckley talked about himself and the 2 other American kidnapped victims. Buckley said, quote, "I am well, and my friends Benjamin Weir and Jeremy Levin are also well. We ask that our government take action for our release quickly." Callers claiming to belong to the Islamic Holy War, that's a group believed linked to Iran, have claimed credit for the kidnapping. The videotape gave no indication, though, where the hostages or the kidnappers are. Stan?
Well, locally, once again, Cindy, a decision in Hennepin County Court to try an Eden Prairie man as an adult for the stabbing of a supermarket manager. 18-year-old Dale Lee Mayer was only 17 when he allegedly attacked David Schwant during the early morning hours of last May 30th. The attack was well documented because Schwant managed to dial 911, and a tape recording was made of his cries for help. Because of the nature of the attack, Judge Alan Oleski certified the case to adult court, where Mayer will be tried for attempted first-degree murder.
More than 40 people uprooted from their homes today when fire tore through their St. Paul apartment building. Authorities think the fire in the old apartment complex began in the basement. It was first noticed about 8:30. The building was equipped with smoke alarms, but according to the residents, not all of those smoke alarms went off. All 42 residents had to be evacuated. Some of them lost nearly everything they owned. Authorities say the building, meanwhile, was destroyed. Fire also destroyed a house in Minnetonka this morning. There's no word what started this blaze, but some eyewitnesses say it took crews too long to arrive on the scene. Now, Minnetonka fire officials disagree. They say crews were there within minutes of the call, which came when the house was already engulfed in flames. No one was inside the home at the time. Damage estimated at a substantial $100,000. Still coming up on this edition of The Update, the State Health Department tells residents of Waite Park not to use tap water, and we'll tell you why.
All right, and we will tell you about a ban that is being blamed on the weather. So stay with us for these and other stories next on The Update.
The shape of things to come has come. The Audi 5000S, sedan, wagon, turbo.
For a test drive, see your nearest Twin City Audi dealer today.
Who responds to your business communication needs at AT&T? At Norstan, I do. We tailor our Roam computerized telephones to your exact specifications. And we support your Roam system with over a decade of design, installation, and service experience. So try calling the president of AT&T. Then call me. See who responds first.
Norstand Communication Systems for revolutionary results from evolutionary equipment.
In our Eyewitness News Digest tonight, a citrus ban in Florida, a bus plunges into a river near Tokyo, and our first story in the Digest concerns missing children.
The city of Chicago has initiated a new way of trying to find those children. Their pictures will appear on advertising space inside Chicago buses and trains. 4 pictures will appear each month with the hope that someone will recognize a missing child and report to authorities.
In Japan today, a bus full of college students on a ski trip plunged into an icy river near Tokyo, killing 25 people and injuring 8. The driver apparently lost control on a sharp curve just before a bridge.
In Los Angeles, the attorney for Kathy Evelyn Smith indicated he may not let his client plead guilty to manslaughter charges in the death of John Belushi. Attorney Howard Weitzman said that after reviewing transcripts, he thinks Smith should not have been originally charged with homicide, should not serve time in prison, and, quote, was a victim of a tragic set of circumstances.
Well, not exactly a tragedy, but certainly big trouble in the Florida citrus groves, where today the Citrus Commission banned the sale of produce for 1 week following last week's freezing weather. This is the 4th such economic dilemma in Florida in 5 years, and 100,000 people will be out of work for as long as the embargo lasts. Indeed, big trouble down there.
Yeah, very cold. It's gotten a little bit warmer down there.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, overall down there, they'll probably average out with a warmer than normal winter.
Really?
It's funny what you can do with averages. I'll give you an example here. You take a glass of ice, and pour that in here. You take hot water, pour that in here. You mix it all up, and that comes out to be normal water. No problem at all. You can make statistics say anything you want. Now look at the departure from normal for our temperatures for the month of January. Now we've had our ups, we've had our downs, we've had our ups, lots of ups, and one real big down in the middle of the month. And you put all of that smorgasbord together, and so far we are only 1/3 of a degree above normal for the month. So that's just about as close as you're going to get with only 3 days to go. But I feel very confident that things are going to get much colder over the next couple of days. In January, we'll probably average out much below normal, probably a good couple of degrees the way things are shaping up. In fact, the cold wave we're going in is going to be very reminiscent of the one we just got out of about 7 or 8 days ago. The reason for the change is showing up in the upper winds. By Thursday, there's a big area of low pressure that's supposed to sit in the northern plains, and the whole country's circulation is going to be controlled right around it. The worst of the cold air is going to be just out to the west, but we are definitely going to be in its grip, no question about it. How much below normal? The entire west will be at least 10 degrees below normal, but Minnesota westward will be 20 degrees below normal, and much of Montana and the western Dakotas, 30 degrees below normal. Here it comes again. At 10 o'clock, the temperature out at the airport is 10 above with the humidity of 58%. The southeast wind is making it feel like it's 5 below, and it's under cloudy skies. In the almanac, the low this morning was 4 below. That's well below average. The high today was 13. That's below average, too. And high temperatures today across the rest of the country show much of the northern U.S. still in the grips of another one of those Arctic air masses, with the coldest air sitting over the midwestern part of the U.S. But look at the southeast. They're recovering a little bit. Highs were in the 60s and the 70s. But that cold air mass is slipping out a little bit more to the east and allowing some warmth to begin moving on up from the south. In fact, our temperature will probably rise through the night into the teens. But the leading edge of the sharply colder air is poised and ready up in Canada, and these two air masses are already beginning to clash. And the first inklings that things were changing was when that high deck of cirrus clouds moved over us about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Well, the clouds have lowered now. The latest satellite photograph across the upper Midwest shows thickening clouds across Minnesota and Wisconsin, and they get even thicker as we go farther and farther back into the Rockies, where the makings of a winter storm is going. Now, we don't have any major snow taking place right now in Minnesota, but KSTP's color radar is around the state, and here's a band of light snow. A couple of bands beginning to form from near the southwest metropolitan area down to Windham, and they're moving towards the Twin Cities. So be prepared for some snow on the windshield when you go to work tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, the weather map for tomorrow shows cloudy skies with the leading edge of the sharply colder air moving into Minnesota. Light snow definitely falling. In fact, it could be a little heavier than light snow with 1 to 2 inches possible during the day tomorrow. And on Wednesday, the temperature will take a very sharp drop, and wind chills by Wednesday afternoon could be very much in the very dangerous range. So keep abreast of this weather situation. The forecast for tonight in the Twin Cities calls for cloudy skies with light snow continuing to develop. The temperatures will slowly rise tonight with a southwest wind. For tomorrow, snow's likely, 1 to 2 inches possible, highs of 17 to 22 with a south wind. And tomorrow night and Wednesday, periods of snow, additional accumulations likely, and it'll get colder. Lows of 2 to 8 above tomorrow night. Wednesday's high only 8 to 12. And look at this, out on a limb. Clearing on Thursday, partly cloudy Friday and Saturday, but temperatures will be near zero for highs, and lows will be in the minus teens and the minus 20s. Very reminiscent of the one we just left about 8 days ago.
You know, according to your little demonstration there, then after we get this weather, we better get some 50-degree weather to average it all out.
Otherwise,
right?
that's going to be a solid piece of ice in there.
When we return, if you missed it, a look at who won what in tonight's American Music Awards.
Exciting. Also ahead, this week's special assignment, a look at what millions of children are calling their second family. Stay tuned.
At the heart of this race-winning Mazda RX-7 is a race-modified version of the same fuel-injected rotary engine that powers our latest Mazda RX-7, the GSL SE. 0 to 50 in 5.6 seconds. Alloy wheels with Pirelli radials, plus 25 luxury features like air conditioning, AM/FM stereo, and sunroof, all standard. Come test drive our finest Mazda RX-7 value ever. See your Mazda dealer in Minnetonka, White Bear, St. Paul, Richfield, and Brooklyn Center.
This year, we challenge you to compare corn insecticides. Compare and you'll pick the one that stands the test of performance and price. Thimet. Thimet controls corn rootworms, guaranteed. Thimet controls wireworms, white grubs, and seed corn maggots, guaranteed. Plus, Thimet saves you $2 to $4 per acre over other leading brands. So if you really compare soil insecticides on both performance and price, you'll pick Thimet. It stands the test.
Well, state officials are warning people in Waite Park not to use tap water from the city's municipal wells. That city, of course, located right near St. Cloud. The health department has found unacceptable levels of 6 possible cancer-causing chemicals in 2 city wells. However, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency is going to allow Superfund money to be used to provide drinking water to the residents in that city, as we say, near St. Cloud. Every morning, millions of children get dressed, hugged, and sent off to daycare.
You know, this is really amazing. Nationwide, 7 million kids spend their days in licensed daycare centers or daycare homes, and maybe twice that are with relatives or in unlicensed daycare. Well, tonight, Catherine Smith begins a special assignment series on this situation that we call the substitute parent.
Patrick Picard is 4 months old. Next week, his mother will be going back to work. Beth and Ed Picard have been looking for daycare for the past month. It's something they've put off until the last minute. Choosing a daycare facility is one of the most crucial decisions a parent can make. Looking for the right place takes time, and as Beth and Ed are finding, it can be a very frustrating experience as well.
I'm sorry, but I cannot watch your child. I just started watching Another Infant on Monday, and I had no way of calling you to let you know. Thank you.
Here we go again.
The Picards have learned that finding good daycare is a complicated process. Like many parents, they feel guilty about the decision they face. Beth says it will be hard to go back to work.
I thought maybe I'd be happy to have a break during the day, but I'm not looking forward to it. But we have to do it, so we're going to try and get the best that we can.
I feel like we're losing a lot by giving them up. I'd sooner have her stay home. I would like to have her stay home. But at this point, it's just not feasible.
Tom and Joelle Chatfield have already found a daycare provider for their 4-month-old daughter, Stephanie. They look at daycare as a positive experience. Some members of their family felt Stephanie would be spending too much time with a substitute parent. But after looking at several facilities, Tom and Joelle decided home daycare would be the best.
We've chosen where she'll be at daycare. In that sense, we've got a lot of input on what she's to be exposed to during the day. I don't have any reservations.
The number of children in daycare has grown right along with the number of women in the workforce. 35 years ago, only 11% of mothers with young children were working. And by 1982, that number had quadrupled. Women were finding they could have it all, a career and a family. Today, 7 million children are in licensed daycare, but there's still a lot we don't know about its effects on very young children. More and more experts say daycare doesn't give children the emotional stability they receive from their parents. But even so, some researchers say we don't have to fear daycare.
There is not a lot of reason to predict that somehow 25 years from now we're going to notice a difference among the adults in our culture, and it's going to be due to daycare.
The demand for daycare has exploded in the past 10 years, and it will continue to do so. But what are your choices? And how do you know what kind of care is best for your child? Tomorrow night, we'll explore the options. Catherine Smith, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
All right, to help answer some of your questions, how about this? We've put together a small brochure. It is a step-by-step list of where to go and what to ask, and you can receive this pamphlet free by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope to Daycare, KSTP-TV, 3415 University Avenue, St. Paul. Our zip code here is 55114. Stan?
All right, Cindy, I bet you saw tonight a royal performance turned in by Minnesota's own Prince tonight at the American Music Awards. The show is seen right here on Channel 5. Prince won awards for favorite black single, When Doves Cry, and his album Purple Rain won 2 awards, the best black album and the best pop album. When he picked up his third of the evening, he had a long list of those he wanted to thank.
I just want to thank, first of all, God and all of the American public, my band, Wendy, Lisa, Matt, Mark, and Bobby, and all the staff at Warner Brothers, Dick Clark, and all of you here tonight.
Shortly afterwards, in an energetic performance, Prince performed his hit Purple Rain. Our congratulations to the star from Minneapolis, indeed. Still to come here, a reunion between a brother and sister who haven't seen each other in more than 40 years.
Also coming up, another demolition project, this one at Met Stadium, and an upset tonight in college basketball. Bob Bruce will have those stories. We'll return with that in Eyewitness Sports.
Some folks call them the snowmobiles, those 4x4s from Ford. Right at home in the Northland snow, those 4x4s from Ford. Pickups, Rangers, Broncos too, those 4x4s from Ford. Best-selling trucks in the Northland, those 4x4s from Ford. See your hometown Northland Ford dealer today and drive yourself a bargain on a 4x4 from Ford.
We're a small town, homegrown, made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone, we're ladled on and loaded up with lots of mozzarella on the pizza. Tombstone,
we pile on the goodness, we're loaded with real cheese.
We're sure the taste of Tombstone's gonna please, gonna please your family. We're a small town, homegrown, made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone, made the way you make your very own. Tombstone.
Oh, how things can turn around, huh? Crazy.
This is unbelievable. You know, not long ago, Stan, Georgetown, their basketball team seemed absolutely unbeatable. Now the Hoyas have lost both the #1 ranking and 2 games in a row. St. John's beat them on Saturday and took over the top spot in the weekly poll. Then tonight, Georgetown lost at Syracuse 65-63. The headliners tonight, Pat Ewing for Georgetown and Pearl Washington for Syracuse, and both had a roll at the finish. The lead seesawed for most of the second half. With less than 2 minutes to play, Ewing dropped a pair of free throws to put the Hoyas up by 1, 63-62. But Washington won it for Syracuse at the end. Watch the move. Pearl will spin towards the free throw line and drilled this jumper with just 9 seconds to play. Washington hit a free throw 2 seconds later, and that's how it's ended. The Orangemen over Georgetown tonight, 65-63. And there's the team that will probably move up to #2. #3, Memphis State beat Cincinnati tonight, 81-61. An update tonight on Gopher freshman Mitch Lee. As you may know, Lee was arrested last Friday in connection with an alleged sexual assault on a female student at the university. The case is now in the hands of Assistant Hennepin County Attorney Jim Gaffney. Gaffney is reviewing the case and should decide tomorrow whether or not Lee should be charged. If he is charged, that probably won't happen until Wednesday. In the meantime, Lee is not practicing with the team, and he did not play during last Saturday's loss to Northwestern. Saturday's overtime loss to Colorado College dropped the Gopher hockey team from first place in the Western Collegiate Hockey Association and from 3rd to 5th in the weekly poll out of Hancock, Michigan. There's the poll coming up for you, folks. Michigan State is still at the top. Then it's Boston College, UMD, RPI, and the Gophers. As I said, Minnesota is now in 2nd place in the WCHA, 1 point behind Duluth. The Gophers will be on the road this weekend for a 2-game series at Michigan Tech. The North Stars will not have to play against goaltender Billy Smith when the Stars play the Islanders tomorrow night in New York. Battlin' Billy has long had the reputation for using his stick on opponents, and this time he's going to pay for it. Smith was given a 6-game suspension today for clubbing the Blackhawks' Kurt Frazier back on January 13th. Frazier left the ice with a fractured cheekbone, and he hasn't played since. In the National Hockey League, just one score to let you know about tonight. Calgary beating Edmonton at the moment, 2-1 in the first period. A deal today by the Minnesota Strikers. They sent defender Barry Wallace to Wichita in exchange for forward Drago Dumbovic. The Strikers hope the trade will give them additional power up front. Dumbovic has just 3 goals in 12 games this season, and a terrible name. But a year ago, he scored 32 goals for Pittsburgh. He's expected to make his Strikers debut Friday night in St. Louis, but we'll cheer for him anyway. Finally, in sports, the beginning of the end for Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. The old Met has stood empty since the Twins and the Vikings moved downtown 3 years ago. Demolition of the stadium was inevitable, and that process, well, started this afternoon. The city of Bloomington will be developing the property, but of course, for many Minnesotans, the Met will still be there at the corner of Cedar and 494 long after the stadium has been replaced by shopping areas, housing units, and office buildings. The Met had been a fixture at that intersection since the mid-1950s. The stadium first opened in 1956. Professional sports came to the Twin Cities 5 years later, and the Met was home to both the Twins and the Vikings for the better part of 2 decades. Ironically, one of the first sections of the stadium to be completed some 30 years ago was the first to come down this afternoon. The demolition of the Met was a sentimental occasion for some of the men who made their living there. People like Bill Brown, Bob Allison, and Hall of Famer, the great one, Harmon Killebrew.
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit of sadness to see it go, and I think, as I say, the tailgating part of it and everything that went along with it, the fans seemed to get closer and the people got closer. So I think that's a big part of the life around here that's going to be missed.
Does this indeed signal progress?
Oh, I think it does. Regress or progress, whichever way you want to say it.
It's like opening day. The temperature is just about right, to be honest with you. But it's quite a day, and a lot of memories here that we're all going to leave. And one thing about it, they can't take it away from us as human beings. We can always remember them, but it's kind of sad to see the Met go.
We were looking at the scoreboard, and Oliva hit a ball off there, Roger Marison and Reggie Jackson, and to look around here, why, there's a lot of thoughts.
A lot of good thoughts, I'm sure.
A lot of good thoughts, it really is, and sorry to see it go.
Said it's kind of neat how they're doing that at the stadium. I do have some news about one of the teams that really had so many great moments at the Met, the Twins. I talked to Howard Fox, president of the Twins. He told me tonight they've signed 2 more players. They'll be announcing those names tomorrow, so things have changed over at the Minnesota Twins. Sorry, it's sad to see that stadium go, but time moves on.
Were you ever out there on bat day?
Oh, yeah.
Up there in the stands?
It sounded just like that.
I thought that was going to happen when I was sitting up there in the 3rd deck. I really did. All that rhythm, wow, bad.
You guys are just big kids.
We
Let's
are.
face it, you're just overgrown little boys.
Yes.
A good
Proud
story to end this
Okay.
newscast with tonight. A joyous reunion at Twin Cities International Airport this evening. A brother and sister who have not seen each other for more than 40 years were reunited. And as Kevyn Berger reports, war, distance, and time stood between the man and the woman until tonight.
It's a dream come true.
Linda McGraw always wanted aunts and uncles and cousins. Her mother and father are Polish. Her father, Tony Kowalski, escaped from a German concentration camp in World War II before immigrating to the U.S. as a displaced person. The war scattered the family. Tony didn't know what happened to his 12 brothers and sisters. Linda McGraw always felt incomplete because she didn't know her relatives.
When I was a little girl, I used to ask my parents about my family, and they said, forget about it. Nobody's alive. They're all dead. They died in the war. And I used to just sit and think about it, listen to my friends talk about their family, and just wonder what it would be like.
This is the night Linda found out what it would be like. Tonight, her father's sister, Helena, and Helena's daughter arrived at the airport from Poland.
What will you want to ask her when you see her? What will you talk about?
I says, where you been so long? That's what I'm going to ask her.
Oh, they're putting her on. Come here, Pop. Come here. Come on. No, I want to touch him, you know. I've heard about it for so long, now I want to touch him. I've talked to him. That's established. And it's just the fact of physically touching him right now.
Where you been so long?
The visit will last 3 weeks, plenty of time to get reacquainted. And then Linda McGraw says she wants to go to Poland. Kevyn Berger, Channel 5 Eyewitness News at the Twin Cities International Airport.
Oh, that's a nice story.
Once again, our top stories of the day, the perfect budget message, cold weather coming ahead, and maybe some snow. We will give you further details on that on the morning news. Please join us then.
And don't forget Draco Dumbovic, too. He was in Bob's Sportscast tonight.
There you go.
You got that one, Bob?
Name of the week.
Work on that overnight, will you?
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
KSTP-TV, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Channel 5.
Good evening. I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline.
If only the Allies knew, we said to one another. If only Roosevelt knew. If only Churchill knew. If only the Pope knew, the killer wouldn't kill.
There is compelling, even overwhelming evidence that they did know, but that they did too little and much too late. That's our story tonight.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
The Holocaust? No, there has been nothing to match the scope of its